Hey folks. I know that a few videos ago, I covered the topic of labels, and I know that in another video I covered a little bit about functioning labels within the context of autism. But today I kind of want to go into more detail about what I consider the dangers of functioning labels, and what sparked this topic was the fact that I was watching a TED Talk that Temple Grandin did, and Temple Grandin is a prominent member of the autistic community. She's famous, actually. Many see her as sort of the paragon of autism. I don't know that I would go that far. If you don't know what the word paragon means, look it up. Because dictionaries are cool. So yeah, and I realized that might have sounded rather jerkish. I'm sorry. I did not mean to sound like a jerk, but look it up. Anyway, so many see her as the paragon of autism. Like, she's this sort of really well-known figure. And she was saying that the world needs all kinds of minds, which I fully agree with. And she was talking about the fact that the world needs the minds of individuals on the spectrum, all over the spectrum, just as much as it needs the minds of individuals who are not on the spectrum. And someone within the comments of this video, and see, this is why you should never read comments. But anyway, someone in the comments of this video started talking about how, they identified themselves as autistic, and then they said that, they were like, I'm high functioning, which means that, they have a lot of self-care skills, and basically they have passed muster in terms of what society says a person ought to be capable of. And so they get this magical label called high functioning because they can do all this stuff and still be autistic. And so, they can, brush their teeth and drive a car and go to school and go to work, and somewhere along the line in the history of autism those things got associated with being high functioning, and then if you can't do those things, you're not high functioning, you're low functioning. So this person's like, I'm high functioning, I'm good, we're great, us high functioning people rock. However, low functioning people, anyone who can't do any of those things, they should be cured of autism, because, it must really freaking suck, right? To not, be able to do stuff and live your life, and it must be a burden. And this really hit me hard, and I wanted to rage in the comment section. But then I took a deep breath, and I realized that I could rage in the comment section, and it might make me feel a little better for a while. But there was a bigger thing that I could do here, and that is to talk about this idea of functioning labels and this danger that they pose. And the danger that they pose is twofold. First part of the danger that they pose is in regard to how they're applied. So, individuals who are considered quote-unquote low functioning, basically what that means is you've essentially reduced a person to a specific list of things that they are, in your eyes, not capable of doing. So, you're low functioning if you cannot do X, Y, and Z. And that on its own should just cause a lot of people to give pause and think, oh my God, that's horrible, and we need to do something about it. Yeah, we do. We really do need to do something about it. Because this label, low functioning, has been given, doctors give this label to parents. It's it was in the diagnostic criteria for autism in the DSM-4. I didn't see any functioning label specifications in the DSM-5, which is one of the really positive points of how they reclassified it. Everything's specified by severity now, not this sort of like high functioning, low functioning. So this label is given, and it gives this false impression of what a person is capable of. Because if you say that a person who, for instance, cannot speak, or a person who needs a lot of assistance with daily care activities, if you then say that person is low functioning, that says something about that extends to what opportunities that individual should be given so that they can come into the fullness of who they are as a person. If you don't think a person is capable because they need help, then you've essentially sort of barred their way towards getting the services that they might need and getting the help that they might need. Now, I know that there are a lot of programs now that are starting to recognize that individuals that have been labeled so-called low functioning are capable of thoughts and feelings, and it's like, and a lot of people are like, yay, it's so great that we're finally realizing that people who have low functioning autism are capable of thoughts and feelings. And I'm just over here like, it took you long enough. Jeez. And I think it's ridiculous that it's sort of just now this thing that's like, oh, hey, we should give these individuals a different way to communicate. But here's the thing. I want to be all celebratory and like, yay, good job, guys. But there's still so far to come. As evidenced by the fact that we still don't have services for these individuals where they can live in a society that considers that, hey, that individual, though they might not be able to speak and they might have different challenges, they deserve to have a job that pays a living wage. If they deserve to not have to live off government assistance for the rest of their life. They deserve to have a structure in place where after they reach adulthood, they don't have to worry about, their parents don't have to worry about, oh my goodness, am I going to have to put my child in a home to make sure that they get make sure that somebody can take care of them. And don't even get me started on the fact that a lot of those places provide less than substandard care for these individuals. So yeah, I want to be all happy, like, good job, you guys realize that these individuals are capable of thought and feeling, but it's not good enough, and we need to do better. So okay, sorry about that rant, but I felt that needed to be said. So we need to dispense with the low functioning label because it gives the impression that individuals who that label is applied to, that they somehow are less deserving of opportunities to live a happy, productive life on their terms. The reason we need to get rid of, the reason we need to stop using the label high functioning is because that is detrimental as well, in that if you label someone high functioning, usually that means that they are more capable than someone who is low functioning. So immediately you have this dynamic where you're pitting, whether you mean to or not, you're pitting these two people in these two camps against each other by virtue of the way that you talk about their experience of autism. And that can lead to issues where, like, for me, under the old diagnostic criteria, I would have been considered high functioning. And just to use myself as an example, for many years, it took so long for me to get diagnosed, and part of the reason was because people would look at me and be like, but you're so articulate, you can say words, and you can have thoughts, and you can function, so you can't be autistic. And so it minimizes the spectrum, which I find ironic as heck, because the spectrum is a spectrum. It's not a autism is not a monolithic condition, and I believe, in fact, I know that in the history of autism, that very thing has been proven. So I need people to go read their history and realize that that was the very thing that we had to overcome when we had to deal with Leo Kanner's conceptualization of autism. Anyway, I'm not going to go there because you don't read Neurotribes is all I'm going to say on that. So anyway, high functioning labels are detrimental because they don't capture the fact that there are challenges that I face and that many who have had that label thrown at them face that aren't always readily apparent. And so there are there are services that we could use that we don't get because we're just considered too well functioning to need them, which is untrue. And it also doesn't ever touch on the fact that one's ability to function is a product of the environment in which they're in. So that's why function labels don't make any sense to me. Because if you put somebody in an environment where you have them playing to their strengths, then of course they're going to fare better than an environment which emphasizes their weaknesses. And so that's the first part of the low functioning, high functioning issue, is that the labels reduce the person to only a facet of either a facet of themselves, or they reduce the person to someone that they completely aren't. Second part of the labeling issue is that it's divisive within, like as I said before, it's divisive within the autism community, as evidenced by this comment, the comment made on that post, and many other comments that I've heard. If you get people who see themselves as high functioning and so better able to live in the world, and some of them can start to think, well, that means that this person whose experience is different than mine, I don't understand their experience. And when you don't understand somebody's experience, it's a lot easier to see them as other, and it's a lot easier to lack empathy for that person. Now, cognitive empathy is something that many people with autism struggle with. That's not something I'm going to get into here. So what you do, though, is you compound the fact that empathy is certain types of empathy are difficult for us. We don't lack empathy. It's difficult for us in different contexts. I will post a link talking about that more. But so you take a situation and you compound it by using this divisive labeling tool. And I'm just going to, say this straight out. The history of autism has already seen, we've already witnessed how detrimental this sort of divisive labeling can be. Again, read Neurotribes, where Hans Asperger talks about what he had to do to ensure that the children in his clinic who were autistic, what he had to do to ensure that Hitler's regime didn't, annihilate those kids, and because of the ideas that they had about what it meant to be a functioning, worthy member of society. My concern is that we're not so far from when that happened. That was in the 40s. And I know we like to think that we've learned from our mistakes, but things like this tell me that no, we haven't. And so one of the things that we need to do is read history and learn from it. And the other thing we need to do is parents and professionals and people in the autism community who are autistic, we need to rethink the idea that just because someone's experience of the spectrum is different than ours, that that they're that they don't deserve the same love and respect that we do. So if you're someone who considers yourself high functioning, or whatever you consider yourself, however you say that term, if you consider yourself that, and you wouldn't want a cure, you don't, you think that you want to be allowed to be who you are. Consider that somebody else who has a different experience of autism than you do wants to be allowed to be who they are as well. It sounds like a really simple thing, but I feel like it's something that needs to be said. And not only that, but we can't possibly raise awareness of autism and work together to bring about an inclusive society if we're divided among ourselves. No movement has ever succeeded without unity, and we need to think about that. And parents, you need to think about the expectations that functioning labels put on your kids, because they're detrimental, and it doesn't need to be that way. So, just some food for thought. Again, I'll put some links down in the description for some of the things that I mentioned today. And as always, feel free to comment and ask questions and the like. That will be everything. Peace to you.